I never imagined that an ordinary Wednesday afternoon would shatter the carefully constructed boundaries of my quiet, predictable life. I had grown accustomed to routine, the steady rhythm of my job at a small marketing firm, the familiar hum of my city during the early morning commute, and evenings spent with a book or a cup of chamomile tea. Life, for me, was measured and safe, until the day a single email arrived that would change everything. It was around 4:15 p.m. when I first noticed the email in my cluttered inbox. The subject line read simply, "Invitation, private event, your escape awaits." I nearly deleted it without a second thought, assuming it was yet another piece of junk mail or an overly promotional pitch. But something, an inexplicable tug, made me pause. I clicked it open, and immediately, a series of carefully crafted words demanded my attention. The email was written in elegant, flowing script against a backdrop of muted navy and silver. It began with a single line, "For those who seek to taste life beyond the mundane, a private soiree awaits you tonight." As I read on, the message described an exclusive event, a private gathering at an elite venue known only to a select few. The email promised an escape, secret getaways to luxurious retreats, intimate dinners in dimly lit, opulent settings, and a night that promised both elegance and romance. Every word seemed to pulse with an urgency and mystery that sent shivers down my spine. I reread the email several times, trying to decipher its layers. There were no sender details, no obvious links to a known organization, only an invitation signed A. The email explained that this was not merely a party, but an experience designed for those who yearn to break free from the confines of ordinary life. It hinted at discreet luxury, a weekend retreat at an undisclosed resort, an evening of gourmet dining in an environment that exuded intimacy and sophistication, and whispered promises of romance that would rekindle the passions one had long thought extinguished. I sat there, the soft clack of the keyboard my only company, feeling both incredulous and strangely electrified. For years, I had tucked away a part of myself, a yearning for something more, a secret desire for adventure and passion. I had convinced myself that my dreams were just that, dreams to be safely archived in the recesses of my mind. Yet now, this cryptic invitation felt like a key, a chance to unlock those hidden chambers. My heart pounded as I began to recall fragments of forgotten nights. There were moments, brief and almost imperceptible, when I had wandered through the city after midnight, when neon lights blurred the lines between fantasy and reality, and when the possibility of indulgence had hovered like a whispered promise in the air. Had I, perhaps, once lived a life more vibrant than the one I now led? Had I allowed myself to experience the thrill of elegant dinners and secret getaways, even if only in fleeting, memory-laced dreams? The email's promise was dangerous in its allure, it offered a taste of a world I had long suppressed. Before I could decide whether to accept or ignore the invitation, I found myself paralyzed by an inner conflict. Part of me screamed caution, what if this was a scam? What if accepting the invitation would plunge me into a world of danger or regret? But another, more primal part, one that had been silenced by years of routine, whispered, "This is your chance. Embrace it." In that silent, solitary moment, I made a choice. I replied to the email with a single, trembling word, "I accept." Almost immediately, my phone buzzed with a reply. The response was succinct and unambiguous, details to follow. Arrive at 8:30 p.m. at the Rosewood Atrium. Dress, evening chic. A. The clarity of the instructions, combined with the weight of the promise, sent my mind into overdrive. Who was A? What exactly awaited me at the Rosewood Atrium? The address was unknown to me, perhaps a hidden gem in the less traveled part of the city, a place that existed only for those with secret tastes for luxury. As the afternoon turned into a long, contemplative evening, I began to prepare for the night ahead. I rummaged through my wardrobe and selected an outfit that would reflect the person I aspired to be, bold, elegant, and unafraid. I chose a deep emerald green dress with a subtle shimmer that caught the light with every movement, paired with a delicate silver clutch and a pair of strappy heels that elevated both my stature and my confidence. Standing before the mirror, I hardly recognized the woman who stared back at me, a woman who had spent too many years curating a safe existence, who now seemed ready to embrace the unknown with trembling resolve. The hours before my departure were a mixture of excitement and anxiety. I kept glancing at the clock, each minute stretching out like an eternity. I wondered about the possibilities that lay ahead. Was this invitation merely a sophisticated marketing ploy? Or was it the manifestation of a part of me that had been starving for real connection, for experiences that would set my soul ablaze? I couldn't shake the feeling that the universe was offering me a rare gift, a chance to live on my own terms, to taste the exquisite flavors of life beyond the mundane. At exactly 8:30 p.m., I locked my apartment door behind me and stepped out into the cool embrace of the night. The city was alive in a way that I rarely noticed during the day. The streets shimmered with reflections from rain-soaked pavement, and neon signs blinked in a language of promise and mystery. I hailed a cab and directed the driver toward the address provided by A. My heart was a relentless drum in my chest as I glanced out the window, each passing block heightening my sense of anticipation. The cab ride felt surreal, as if I were traveling not just through the city, but through time, back to a version of myself that was daring and unburdened by caution. I tried to calm my racing thoughts by focusing on the soft hum of the engine and the blur of urban lights outside. Finally, after what seemed like both an eternity and a fleeting moment, the cab pulled up in front of an imposing building that bore the name Rosewood Atrium in elegant, understated script above the entrance. The building itself was a study in refined modernity. Its facade was composed of glass and dark stone, exuding both strength and subtle grace. As I stepped out of the cab, I could feel a cool breeze and the gentle murmur of the city welcoming me into its secretive embrace. I took a deep breath, straightened my dress, and approached the entrance with cautious determination. Inside, the lobby was bathed in a soft, golden glow. Polished marble floors reflected the delicate light, and tasteful art pieces adorned the walls. There was an air of quiet sophistication, as if the building were a sanctuary for those who appreciated the finer, yet hidden, pleasures of life. A discreet receptionist greeted me with a warm smile and checked me in with barely a word, confirming my attendance at the private event. I was handed a small card with instructions: proceed to the private lounge on the 3rd floor. Your journey awaits. As I rode the elevator upward, I felt an inexplicable mix of nerves and excitement, an emotion that had long lain dormant, waiting for a spark to set it aflame. When the elevator doors opened onto a softly lit corridor, I stepped out into a world that felt both familiar and entirely new. The air was filled with a subtle scent of fresh roses and a hint of something unplaceably exotic, a fragrance that seemed to beckon me forward. I followed the corridor until I reached a set of double doors engraved with delicate patterns. Taking a deep breath, I pushed them open. Beyond the doors was a private lounge that defied expectation, a sumptuous room that looked as if it had been crafted for royalty. Plush velvet sofas, elegantly arranged low tables, and intricate chandeliers that cast a warm, mesmerizing light set the stage for an evening of enchantment. Soft music, a slow, soulful melody played on a grand piano, filled the space, its notes swirling in the air like whispered secrets. At one end of the room, a long table was set for an intimate dinner. Crisp white linens, fine china, and glimmering silverware were arranged with precise care, and an array of flickering candles added a touch of romantic mystery to the scene. I moved slowly through the room, my eyes taking in every detail. There was an undeniable sense of anticipation, as if each element of the decor had been arranged specifically to heighten the senses and awaken dormant emotions. I took a seat at the table, feeling both the weight of what was to come and a liberating thrill that whispered of transformation. I could hardly believe that just hours ago, I had been living an unremarkable day, and now I found myself on the threshold of a hidden world, one that promised elegance, romance, and the reawakening of a long-forgotten self. As I sat there, I began to notice subtle details: the soft murmur of conversation from a nearby corner, the gentle clinking of crystal as glasses were filled with wine, and the fleeting glances exchanged between those gathered in quiet clusters. None of these people spoke directly to me. Instead, they seemed lost in their own private reveries, their expressions hinting at secrets and stories as rich and layered as my own. I felt a kinship with them, a shared understanding that beneath our calm exteriors lay hearts that dared to dream and souls that yearned to be free. The dinner began with an exquisite array of appetizers, delicate morsels that exploded with flavor and color, each dish a masterpiece of culinary art. With every bite, I felt my senses heighten, as if the experience were unlocking a part of me that had been tightly sealed away. The conversation around me was hushed and intimate. I couldn't help but imagine that everyone here had been invited for a reason, that this private event was not merely a random gathering but a deliberate celebration of the extraordinary. Midway through the dinner, a subtle change in the lighting signaled the beginning of the next phase of the evening. The music softened, and an almost imperceptible shift in the room's atmosphere made my heart flutter. I recalled the cryptic email that had set this entire journey in motion, the promise that my escape would be complete with a taste of secret romance. I felt a curious anticipation, as if I were waiting for a key moment that would change everything. Before I could dwell on the thought further, the lights dimmed even more, and a gentle voice echoed from across the room. "Welcome, dear guest, to an evening of revelations and delights." I looked up to see a figure step forward, a person dressed in sophisticated black, with an air of quiet mystery and refined elegance. The individual's face was partially obscured by a stylish hat, and they carried an aura of grace that both calmed and intrigued me. "Please, join me," the stranger said, extending a gloved hand. "I am Aveline, your guide for tonight's secret encounter." There was something hypnotic in Aveline's voice, a quiet confidence that suggested they had seen many souls transformed by moments like these. I hesitated only briefly before accepting the invitation, feeling as though I was stepping into a dream woven from the threads of my most cherished fantasies. Aveline led me away from the dining table and through a side corridor that opened onto a secluded balcony. There, beneath a sky dusted with stars, the city stretched out in a shimmering panorama of lights and promise. The air was cool and filled with the delicate scent of night-blooming flowers, and for a moment, I felt as if I had been transported to another world, one where romance and mystery danced hand in hand. Standing on the balcony, I listened as Aveline spoke softly about the private event. "Tonight is not just an escape," they explained, "it is an invitation to rediscover the passions you have long concealed. Every detail here, from the exquisite dinner to the hidden venue beyond, is meant to awaken the true essence of who you are." Their words, filled with both reassurance and a subtle challenge, stirred something deep within me, a longing to embrace all the parts of myself I had once hidden away. I spent several precious minutes on that balcony, letting the beauty of the night wash over me. I looked out at the city's sprawling skyline, each light a symbol of dreams and possibilities, and I realized that this moment was a turning point. The cryptic email that had arrived earlier was more than an invitation. It was a call to step beyond the limits of my carefully constructed life and into a realm where romance, elegance, and the promise of secret getaways merged to create an experience that was both transformative and deeply personal. Before I reluctantly rejoined the gathering inside, I took one final, lingering look at the city. I promised myself that no matter what revelations awaited me, I would embrace every moment with an open heart and a spirit unafraid to soar. With renewed determination, I stepped back into the warm glow of the private lounge, ready to surrender to the night's unfolding mysteries. As the dinner continued, I found my mind drifting between the sumptuous present and echoes of my hidden past. Each course was a sensory symphony, each whispered conversation a reminder of the life I once lived in the quiet hours of midnight. I began to see the secret getaways, the elegant dinners, and the clandestine check-ins as not merely escapes from routine, but as essential expressions of my truest self, facets that, when embraced, could illuminate the entire tapestry of my existence. By the time the formal dinner came to an end, I was left with a profound mix of emotions. I was exhilarated by the beauty and mystery of the evening, yet I felt the weight of an unspoken promise lingering in the air, a promise that the night was far from over. In the quiet moments that followed, as I sipped a final glass of wine and listened to the soft strains of the piano, I knew that this private event was only the beginning of a journey I had longed for without even knowing it. I returned to my apartment that night with a heart full of questions, memories, and a stirring sense of possibility. The cryptic email had unlocked a hidden world, a realm of secret getaways, elegant dinners, and romance that had always been a part of me. Now, with every step I took in the following hours, I vowed to reclaim the passion and mystery that had been buried beneath the safe veneer of my everyday life. I stepped back into the warm embrace of my apartment after the unforgettable evening at the Rosewood Atrium, my mind still swirling with the delicate scents of roses and whispers of midnight promises. In the hours that followed, sleep proved elusive. Instead, I sat at my desk, journal open, pen poised to capture the raw tapestry of emotions that had overtaken me. The private event had not only offered an escape from the dullness of my everyday routine, it had stirred memories of a once bold heart and awakened a desire to live more fully. Every detail was seared into my mind, the subtle elegance of my emerald green dress reflecting the flicker of candlelight, the hushed music of a piano echoing the rhythm of my heartbeat, and the mysterious glances exchanged with strangers who, like me, carried secrets in their eyes. In the quiet solitude of the early morning, I began to piece together the fragments of that night. I recalled how, after I'd accepted the invitation, I had felt a strange liberation as if the carefully constructed walls around my soul had begun to crumble. The event had been designed with surgical precision to appeal to a part of me I had long thought dormant, a part that craved not just luxury and romance, but the thrill of living life on my own, unpredictable terms. The next few days were a whirl of introspection and exploration. I retraced my steps to the locations that had played a part in that mysterious evening. The Rosewood Atrium, once a symbol of exclusivity and refined indulgence, now appeared to me as a living allegory, a threshold between two worlds. With trembling determination, I visited the private lounge on the third floor again, this time not as an intrigued guest, but as a seeker of answers. I spoke quietly with a staff member who had a knowing smile and subtle glances, as if silently acknowledging the secret that had been shared with me. I learned that, for many of us who attended these events, it was not unusual to feel a stirring of the soul, an awakening that blurred the lines between our public facades and our hidden inner selves. I began to realize that the private event was part of a larger, clandestine network, a group that embraced the art of living vividly. It was a society of those who refused to let their lives be defined solely by the safe, predictable routines of daily existence. In hushed conversations with a few discreet acquaintances, I learned that many of them had once been ensnared by similar circumstances: the numbness of routine, the silent yearning for adventure, and the quiet pain of a life half-lived. Their stories were as diverse as they were poignant. One woman, whose eyes shone with both determination and wistfulness, confessed that she had attended a secret dinner in a historic mansion just a few months ago, where the decadent aroma of gourmet food had rekindled her hope for genuine romance. A man in a tailored suit spoke of his escape, a chance to reconnect with the passions he had long buried under the weight of responsibility and loss. One evening, driven by the need to understand the origins of these secret gatherings, I sought out an invitation to a follow-up event that the email had hinted might exist, a private retreat at a luxurious resort known as Le Mirage. I hesitated only briefly before replying to the cryptic follow-up email that arrived on my phone with the subject invitation: Embrace the Dawn. Its contents were both sparse and evocative. Your journey does not end with the night. Join us at Le Mirage Resort for a weekend retreat. Let the sunrise guide you as you merge the realms of your hidden self with the life you choose to live. Details enclosed. That message ignited in me a mix of trepidation and hope. I had already felt the pull of the secret world through that single, transformative evening, and now the invitation promised a full immersion into a lifestyle that celebrated passion, self-discovery, and unapologetic luxury. I decided to take the plunge. A week later, I packed a small bag with essentials: an elegant dress, comfortable shoes, my journal, and the courage I had painstakingly summoned over the past days, and set out for Le Mirage Resort. The journey itself was a meditative drive along winding highways that cut through moonlit countryside. I watched as the city's neon glow gave way to vast fields and star-drenched skies, feeling an almost cinematic shift in my inner landscape. It was as if the physical distance from my familiar urban environment was paralleled by a deep, internal journey towards self-rediscovery. Arriving at Le Mirage, I was struck by its sublime beauty. The resort was a breathtaking blend of modern architecture and natural elements, a place where artful design met the rugged splendor of the desert. I checked in with a smile that belied my swirling anxieties, and soon found myself immersed in an atmosphere that was both serene and charged with quiet possibility. The lobby was spacious and airy, adorned with soft fabrics, delicate sculptures, and gentle waterfalls that created a soothing soundtrack to my arrival. Over the course of the weekend, I participated in a series of activities designed to peel away the layers of inhibition. There were guided meditation sessions at sunrise, where the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, each moment urging me to let go of the past and embrace the future with open arms. In the afternoons, I attended discreet workshops on creative expression, where fellow attendees shared their own stories of hidden desires and personal transformation. I found solace in the raw vulnerability of their narratives, each one a mirror reflecting parts of myself that I had long kept secret. One evening, during a private dinner set on a terrace overlooking the sprawling desert, I found myself seated beside a man whose presence radiated a quiet, magnetic energy. His name was Julian, a soft-spoken artist with a passion for capturing the raw beauty of life in his sketches. As we shared a meal under a starlit sky, with gentle music playing in the background, Julian recounted how he had discovered the secret world of these retreats after a tumultuous period of self-doubt. His eyes shone with a mixture of melancholy and fierce determination as he spoke of the transformative power of embracing one's hidden self. "For years," he confessed in a hushed tone, "I lived in fear of what others would think if they saw the parts of me that truly yearned for beauty. But nights like this, moments like these, they remind me that the boldest acts of living come from honoring every facet of who we are." Julian's words resonated with me on a deeply personal level. I realized that my own journey had been marked by a silent rebellion, a series of secret encounters and hidden indulgences that had allowed me to experience life's passion in fleeting, yet unforgettable, moments. The digital receipts and cryptic messages were not mere anomalies, they were the echoes of a spirit that had once refused to be confined by the mundane. They were the silent testimony of nights filled with elegant dinners, clandestine check-ins, and the sweet taste of liberation. As the weekend progressed, I found myself letting go of the fear that had long constrained me. I danced under the open sky during a midnight celebration, where the rhythmic beats of a live band set my heart free. I laughed with strangers who, like me, had once hidden their true selves away, and together we forged connections built on honesty, vulnerability, and the shared desire for transformation. In quiet moments of reflection, whether watching the sun rise over the desert or sitting alone with my journal, I began to understand that my secret life was not something to be ashamed of, but rather a rich, integral part of my identity. It was a mosaic of passion and restraint, of indulgence and responsibility, and I was finally ready to embrace it in full. The private retreat at Le Mirage became a turning point, a time when I not only confronted the evidence of my past but also recognized the power I held in shaping my future. I learned that true liberation comes from acknowledging every hidden desire, every secret longing, and allowing them to inform a life lived authentically. Each moment, whether spent in the quiet elegance of a candlelit dinner or in the vibrant chaos of a midnight celebration, was a reminder that my life was a tapestry of both light and shadow. In embracing this duality, I found that I could merge the best of both worlds, the stability of my everyday life and the wild, untamed beauty of my inner self. On my final night at the retreat, as I sat on a terrace that overlooked the infinite desert, I penned one last entry in my journal. The cool night air was filled with the scent of desert blooms and the gentle murmur of the wind. I wrote of the journey that had begun with a cryptic email, a message that had shattered the barriers of convention and invited me into a world of secret getaways, elegant dinners, and whispered promises. I wrote of the bittersweet joy of rediscovering a part of me that I had long suppressed, and of the courage it took to step out into the unknown. With every word, I felt the weight of my past lifting, replaced by a sense of hope and determination that I would no longer be defined by fear. As dawn broke on my final day at Le Mirage, I felt a profound sense of renewal. The journey had not been easy, there were moments of pain, regret, and uncertainty, but it had also been a catalyst for a transformation that I would carry with me forever. I realized that the secret encounters, the digital receipts, and the clandestine gatherings were not mere escapes from reality, they were invitations to live more fully, to taste the rich complexity of life, and to honor every facet of my being. Now, as I step back into the familiar rhythms of my everyday existence, I carry with me the wisdom and passion of that hidden world. The elegant dinners and secret getaways have left an indelible mark on my soul, a mark that reminds me to seek beauty in every moment, to embrace the unexpected, and to never be afraid of the truth that lies within. The cryptic invitation that once startled me has become a beacon, guiding me toward a future where I merge the stability of the known with the daring freedom of my hidden desires. I close my journal with a quiet promise to myself, to live authentically, to honor every secret longing, and to keep my heart open to the mysteries that life has yet to reveal. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing, and every day offers a new chance to blend the elegance of the past with the promise of the future. With a heart emboldened by the experiences of those transformative nights, I embrace the dawn of a new chapter, a chapter where my hidden self and my everyday persona dance together in a harmony of passion, resilience, and infinite possibility.